methamphetamine. And there's reunification services, which Mr. Gallegos was referring to. One of the things I was asking in the question was how old the child was, because that makes a huge difference in terms of how the law looks at that child and how much time the mother's given to get her act together and work her plan, her reunification plan, which does involve healthy moms and all those things that Mr. Gallegos talked about. So the fact of the age of the child, the law recognizes a huge consideration in terms of how much time the parent has to work the plan, to get off meth, and to do the kinds of things she or he needs to do to be able to be reunified with their child.
Thank you, Ms. Bryson. Does anybody else wish to comment?
I think we've said it all.
Yes, we have.
Okay. Well, under those circumstances, then, I think that what we need is to get to the closing statements from each candidate. You get 90 seconds apiece. Mr. Hagan.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the ACLU for putting this on. I'd like to thank the people who showed up here tonight. It makes it much, much better when folks are sitting in the audience, and I really appreciate that it's on cable so everybody else can see it, and hopefully repeatedly. As I mentioned earlier at the outset, I've worked in 4 different DA's offices. I've worked under 7 different district attorneys. I have a broad range of experience prosecuting cases. I myself am a family man. I pour a lot of my energy into volunteer efforts in the community, and I think I know what this community is about, and I know that I can do a very good job as district attorney. I think the main thing to do that you need to think about is who's got the proven ability to get stuff done and who's interested in protecting Humboldt County's future. This really what it's all about here is looking at where we are now and where we're going from here. What you need to look at in a person is inside their heart, inside their soul. We've all got experience. We've all got things we want to tout about what we've done. But I think the bigger question is, who is the person and how will they act when they're in office? What will they look at inside their own selves, their own lives, when they're deciding the tough questions like we just heard, the woman who's addicted with a child? I have 2 children myself. They are daughters. They mean the world to me. In my house, the sun rises and sets on them, and everything revolves around them. And if I see a fact situation like that, it will be one of the most difficult things to do, short of asking for the death penalty. This is the type of thing you have to look at in somebody. What type of a person will you be electing to fulfill the office? I'm 55 years old. I've done a lot of things in my life besides being a lawyer, and I'd like to be your district attorney. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hagan. Ms. Jackson.
Thank you. Here in Humboldt, we stand for justice. We protect the most vulnerable. And when we hear from those we seek to protect that they are not being treated appropriately, we listen and we act, which is one of the reasons why I am a candidate for district attorney. Over the last few years, and actually over the last year especially, victim advocates, therapists treating victims themselves with their surviving family members and law enforcement, has asked me to be this county's next district attorney and to correct what they say in their own words is a system that's broken, to use my vast experience and my keen administrative skills to stop what they call an endless revolving door of plea bargains in which the punishment does not fit the crime and which has been leaving victims to feel shortchanged. I have been very, very privileged and honored to have the support of many members in the community, like retired assembly person Sally Tanner, retired Judge Pat Hofstetter, Betty Chin, Marianne Hayes Mariani, Cassie Burgess, Diane Green, Humboldt Deputy Sheriff's Organization, as well as many victims of crimes and their families, who believe that I have the necessary criminal experience and the necessary administrative skills to be your next district attorney. And on their behalf, I ask that you support my candidacy and that you vote for me on June the 8th. I would also ask that you go to my website to find out any more on my experience.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
You're welcome.
Ms. Bryson.
We're going to let the incumbent have the last word then.
It's kind of worked out, though.
It's all right. When you're going to vote on June 8th, you want to look at someone who has a breadth of experience. You want to look at someone who can take over that office tomorrow, hit the ground running, know all the players, someone who's already in criminal law, someone who understands that the youth is our future. I volunteer as well. I teach a Sunday school. I'm involved giving money to the Boys and Girls Club and various charities that deal with children and the elderly and the animals and all the vulnerable we've discussed. But at the end of the day, who can run that office? Who knows everybody? Who knows how to run a business? Who's going to be willing to put her money where her mouth is and put the money back into the juveniles and the youth that need it? Who has the criminal law experience from both sides? Who can best train officers? Work with officers. I can look at a report in 5 minutes and tell you what's wrong with it. And I can work to help those law enforcement get better at their job and keep us all safer. I'm the only one who can do that. And when you're looking at people's heart, look at what they were doing before they decided to run. When I had to decide and look at who I was, I looked at my checkbook. And I listed all the charities. And there were a lot. And we're all doing that in this county. We're doing that extra mile for our communities. Don't look at what people do after they decide to run or a few months before the election. Look at what they were doing all along.
Thank you, Ms. Bryson. Well, we've got I think, a really strong panel of candidates here. I want to personally thank all of you. Well, I mean, if Mr. Gallegos would like a shot.
Thank you very much.
Sorry about that, Mr. My mistake. Put the cart in front of the horse again.
Quite honest. I understand everyone's in a hurry now. I want to thank the ACLU and everyone for coming here tonight and the people out in the audience. I want to take an expression that Mr. Hagan used, and that is proven ability to get things done. And a statement from Ms. Bryson, breadth of experience. First, I have served not as a deputy district attorney, but as district attorney for you for the past 7 years, going on 8 years. During that time, those 8 years, this will be my 4th election, because we have lived in tumultuous times here in Humboldt County. And I have weathered that with you on behalf of this community. Meanwhile, while that was going on, we have made this community safer. Crime has gone down throughout this county. We have modernized the office, made it more effective, more efficient, and more responsive to the people of this community. We talk about breadth of experience. Prior to becoming the district attorney, I was a defense attorney here and in Los Angeles and throughout the state of California. I did both state and federal defense work. I was also a civil rights attorney with a pro bono project in the federal court down in San Francisco. I've started 2 successful law offices before becoming an attorney for the district, before becoming the district attorney. I have breadth of experience. I have taught at HSU. I studied economics when I was an undergraduate at USC. I worked for IBM in administration. I have breadth of experience, and I have the experience necessary to be the district attorney of Humboldt County, because that is exactly what I've done. And this community has benefited from the privilege that they have given me to serve this community. And on that, I want to thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallegos. We're going to have to bring this to a close. We got a lot of really good questions from the audience. We just didn't have the time to ask them all. We thank the candidates, Paul Gallegos, Kathleen Bryson, Paul Hagan, and Allison Jackson, for participating in tonight's debate. And we again thank the Access Humboldt for bringing this debate to a live television audience. This debate will be rebroadcast on Channel 12 and made available over the internet in the weeks leading up to the June 8th election. The ACLU never endorses or opposes candidates for public office. Yet on behalf of the Redwood ACLU, I can certainly urge all of you who are not already done so to register at the county elections office to register to vote, or you can get registration forms at any post office. I mean, we'd like you to be able to make your choice for district attorney known on June 8th. Don't forget, if none of these candidates exceeds a 50%